It's Charter Local Edition. Brad Pomerantz here in the San Gabriel Valley, but we're joined today by a supervisor from San Bernardino County. He is Curt Hagman. Sir, I want to speak with you about first responders, which they have been very busy lately, unfortunately, in San Bernardino City on December 2nd, in Orlando recently. I want to get a sense about how first responders are communicating with each other and other entities. How is that done today?
Well, right now what we see on TV is most of the time it's voice.
Okay, right.
Land mobile radio. It's 800 megahertz for our county in Southern California. And there's sophistication to it. Some data packets can be sent over that land radio, and some of our first responders also have computers with their AT&T or Verizon laptop card in there.
Or Charter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So, right now they use a little bit of cellular data, but most of it's voice.
Is it reliable?
It's reliable for a certain capacity. And what they found out after 9/11, what Congress looked at, is when you have a major incident in a very small area, those resources can be overloaded very quickly.
We can't have them overloaded. I mean, when you're in an emergency situation like the San Bernardino tragedy of December 2nd, they need to be able to communicate.
And now they need to be communicating with the interoperability. So when you have multiple agencies coming from even different states sometimes, we have prolonged fires here, or you have a big earthquake, you'll bring resources outside the state or different parts of the state into help. And it could be federal, it could be state, local, county, all these things working together. So the interoperability and the capacity to have all that communication, a lot more data, is what Congress came up with FirstNet with.
And let's talk about FirstNet, because like you said, FirstNet was created in the wake of 9/11. And I want to get a sense, what exactly is FirstNet?
FirstNet is basically its own dedicated band frequency.
Okay.
And it's the 700 megahertz band. So the last 6-7 years, the FCC has been moving other providers off to different bandwidths.
Okay.
And it's a big chunk of data band.
Is there something about the 700 band that is unique and more beneficial for this, or just it needs its own band?
It needs its own space. So, for example, some of the popular carriers may have in the LA metro area 3 or 4 million customers on the same size of band that now maybe 40,000 first responders will be using.
I see.
So the reliability, the density, the amount of data that you can put through, the throughput, so to speak, as we turn more and more to video. So you can imagine right now we're talking.
Of course.
In the future, our deputies will have cameras, our firefighters will have cameras, we'll have smart GPS locations on people, we'll have blueprints of buildings come up when they respond to a fire.
Of course.
So you have a big downtown high-rise here in LA, and there's a fire. They may want to have, what's the last 5 code enforcement things they had on it? Is there any dangerous chemicals?
Right.
Where's the blueprints for the building? How about special medical needs, large animal needs, things like that? All can be at the touch of the fingerprints of the first responders.
So has the 700 band been cleared?
It's been cleared. It's in an RFP right now for California to either opt into the program or not opt in.
And explain that.
Opt-in says we want to be part of FirstNet. And
which is nationwide.
Nationwide. So someone from Georgia can come over here and function, and it's all smart stuff, which is kind of like as soon as you arrive in the network, you pop up on the screen that you're here from Georgia, part of the thing. And FirstNet, the opt-in in says, FirstNet, you go build it. So we just want to be part of it, you go build it. If California wants to be more hands-on and manage its own data system. Now you remember, all of California stuff is privately owned by government. Our 800 megahertz system, our state highway patrol, our parks department, a lot of things that the state does is not in urban city. It's outside that 5% of population in the middle of nowhere. So they have a lot of different communication needs.
So who owns the 700 band?
The FirstNet does.
So are we going to opt in?
That's a big question for the governor. Yes. Either way, it's a mandate for the state and for all the states in the United States to be part of FirstNet eventually.
So whether we opt in or not, all we're doing when we opt in is we will allow the feds to build the FirstNet in our state?
Correct.
Do you have a position on whether we should opt in or not?
I hate giving up control a little bit, but at the same time, it's more of a private-public partnership. I think we can have some, and I would be the first to admit, our cellular data network system is not as good as other countries.
What about other states?
And I'm not sure, I haven't tested as much out, but in California we don't have the greatest coverage. We have a lot of people on very limited resources. Based on the private sector model, we had each company build their own versus other countries who build a central core.
So we know this will be built. If California opts out, California builds it by itself?
Correct.
Who pays?
Partnering up with probably a private vendor. So what's going to happen is a existing vendor will be
Charter, AT&T, whomever it is.
Will be an RFP. They'll get it, and they're going to use their existing infrastructure. They'll make deals with other existing infrastructure from other carriers, and then they'll start to work on the spots that are weak. And that's going to take a decade for us to do.
Who pays for this? Opt in or opt out?
Yes, the bandwidth is worth hundreds of billions, or maybe tens of billions of dollars for private business. So if Charter makes the bid, the first priority goes to public safety, as much as they need. Now remember, it's only around a certain node. So if there's an incident in LA, it's only using the little thing in LA, not the rest of the United States all at once, right? That band becomes very valuable for them to sell off to private customers like me and you and everybody else for our cell phones. So they will be getting it from that private provider, the income.
But I thought we need to reserve the 700 band.
It has a priority, so it's all smart computer stuff. So when the public safety starts kicking up and we need more volume, everybody else gets kicked off.
I see, so it's not exclusive.
No.
So the 700 band can still be used for non-emergency situations, except when it can't.
Correct. And the beauty about this is once we get this network built, we can do all the other smart city stuff. So I could digitalize everything else we're doing, from building plans to medical records to education, and we could pile on that band and use it for public safety purposes and other government purposes.
So will the vendor pay to be the FirstNet provider, or will the government give money? You see, because I could see it go both ways.
Public safety gets, I think, free use.
Right.
We will pay a per fee every time we buy a piece of equipment. But non-public safety stuff, like for my other smart government things, cameras, lights, all the rest, we would have to buy the data from the FirstNet provider.
To build the network, who's paying for that?
The private provider, whoever they end up partnering with. So
the government will give no money to build the network.
They have about $8 billion nationwide, and they expect it to cost $100 billion to build out. So it's a small pittance to get started, maybe some planning fees. But it is a risk. We don't have to, as a county, we take care of all our cities' police and fire radio stuff. We dictate what everyone uses, so we're on the same system. If we don't like the product or it's too expensive, we'll stay where we're at.
But let's talk about your county. San Bernardino County is the largest county in the lower 48 geography-wise. It is massive.
It's bigger than 7 states.
Right, and there are portions of San Bernardino where you don't even see crickets.
Correct.
How are you going to wire those portions for FirstNet?
You won't. You'll cover all the thoroughfares, all the populated areas. You will have portable devices to respond to emergencies in the middle of nowhere. Flying drones with cellular repeaters, things on trucks, backpacks, I mean, you name it.
Because there could be a fire, for example, in an unincorporated area.
Middle of nowhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's what they do. They bring the mobile assets to support an emergency for that area.
Can we do that today?
Yes.
We could fly a drone in, and it could be a hotspot.
For 12 hours, a hotspot for a while, yeah. So that's what they did in the earthquake in, I forgot, Nepal or something like that. That's when they created that. So I don't know necessarily we have all that capability in-house, but it exists. And that provider, if it's Charter, will be probably the one responding with those drones and responding with those mobile devices to get that emergency set up throughout the state.
So when do we start building FirstNet? If we have we started building?
No. I mean, obviously there's the existing network already. All you do is put up a new antenna with a new spectrum on it. California has to have its RFP in by the end of this year. Answer. So by 2017, we're starting to rock and roll very quickly.
And when is it done?
It'll probably never be done.
Well stated.
It'll be up and running very quickly with the existing network. All you have to throw on the new transmitters, the new 5G technology, but then you start to find out those weak spots and backfilling and doing all the stuff that they've been doing for the last 30 years building the cellular network.
So you're essentially the point person for your county on this issue?
I'm the point person for Southern California. I have a new committee on SCAG that addresses this and all the smart technologies for cities.
This is great. You must be having a blast working on this. Fascinating stuff. His name is Curt Hagman. He is a supervisor in San Bernardino County. My name is Brad Palmer. Thank you so much for joining us on Charter Local Edition.